Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name is Sean Wasserkirk and I'm here to review the latest movies that come out as well as any movies you want reviewed as well. And today we are going to be reviewing Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Like I said, if you guys like the video, if you want more from me, more reviews, feel free to like, share, subscribe to the channel as well as subscribe to Sean's Movie Crusades at Facebook. And if there's any movies you want to see reviewed by me, whether they be new movies or old movies or comments on the video itself, have a discussion going. Feel free to leave comments on the video here or comments on the Facebook page, and I will get back to you. And let's get the discussion going. I love talking with you guys. I love having communication, and trying to make this the best show possible for you guys. So today, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. I was a big fan of the first film. I really enjoyed the old school video game aspect. Plus, the movie had a lot of heart with it. Great voice work casting in the first film by John C. Reilly, who played Ralph, Sarah Silverman as Penelope, and Jack McBrayer as Fix-It Felix, and Jane Lynch as Calhoun. They did great voice work in that film, and it was really a highlight for me. It was a movie that I expected it to be at least good, and it exceeded my expectations, so I was real excited about this one. I wasn't all that excited about the whole internet aspect of it, because we did have the Emoji Movie last year, and I was afraid it would kind of hit those same tropes, and it does in a sense, but not in a way of where it's like horrible, whereas that movie was easily one of the worst movies of the year. This movie does kind of not go all over the place, but it does have some different plot tracks. Now, the main plot, and you'll see this in the trailers, so I mean, most people know what the plot is, but this takes place 6 years after the events of the first film, and everything's kind of going great for the arcade characters. Fix-It Felix and Calhoun are married, and then Ralph and Penelope, they're best friends. They hang out every night. They basically work in their respective games all day, and then as soon as the arcade closes, they hang out at night, they jump into different video games and play games, and then they hang out at tappers and, just kind of do what best friends do. But the main underlying thing that's going on with at least the two main characters is that while Ralph is 100% content and satisfied and happy with the way his life is, Penelope's kind of not unhappy, but she thinks there's more out there in the world than just working in the racing game and just hanging out at night. She wants to do more. She wants to be able to do more. And right now she's not really able to do that. And then she's got Ralph with her, who was just like, this is the best. I don't want things to ever change. So that's that kind of underlying thing going on with them as the two characters. But basically what happens is one day Penelope's game breaks. The steering wheel snaps in half. And basically, while looking up research to try to fix the part, which is the broken steering wheel, it's too much money for the arcade guy to afford. And so he comes up to the decision of basically shutting the game off, unplugging it, and doing away with it, which in Wreck-It Ralph world is the equivalent of destroying Penelope's world and all the characters in it. So in the process of doing that, all the characters have to, get out of the game, and which at that point, they have nowhere to go. And that's a big, crucial story point for Penelope's character, because all she knows is the game Sugar Rush. And with it now being gone, she doesn't really know what there is to do for her. I mean, Ralph still has his job where he works in the Fix-It Felix Jr. game, and Penelope doesn't really have anything anymore. And so it's a real frustrating part of her character. Until one day, Ralph comes up with the idea of, let's go into the internet, because the arcade guy just got Wi-Fi. So Ralph's idea is to, let's go into the internet and find this steering wheel on eBay, and let's buy it, so that way we can save your game and your world, and nothing has to change. So they basically embark on this quest into the internet, and that's kind of where the story goes. Before we get too much further into that, first things first, the voice cast. Everyone is fantastic in this. There's no weak parts. I mean, it's very hard to have a weak part in a voice cast movie. there are some plus and minuses, though. I mean, like, John C. Reilly's great as Ralph, but the standout is easily Sarah Silverman. Whereas Wreck-It Ralph, the first film, was easily Ralph's story, and Penelope was kind of the sidekick role in the first film. This one is definitely Penelope's movie. Ralph takes kind of more of a sidekick role in this one, and they both do great, but Sarah Silverman is clearly the standout, as she does a phenomenal job in inflecting Penelope's emotions and character arc, and really brings her out even further of a character than she did in the first film. The one negative I have is because Ralph and Penelope go to the internet, the rest of the cast from the first film don't follow with them. So Jack McBrayer, who does the voice of Fix-It Felix, and Jane Lynch, who does Calhoun, who were two very popular characters of the first film, they get kind of sidetracked in this one. I mean, they have a little bit in the beginning, and they have a slight little bit in the end, but other than that, they're kind of left on the side of the road and not really a big factor, which was kind of a bummer, but I get it. It's a new story, new location, you can't bring everyone, with them, but it was kind of a bummer because those characters we grew to love, and they're just not really a part of this movie. But in turn, we do have a lot of new characters in the movie as well, and they all do great. You have Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman herself. She plays the character Shank. Basically, there's a game in the internet called Slaughter Race. It's kind of a Twisted Metal, Grand Theft Auto type game that Penelope and Ralph stumble upon, and she's the main character of that game. And Gal Gadot does a great job. I mean, she basically plays the badass, sexy female character that you see in most video games today. And Penelope basically kind of glues herself to her, in a sense, where she is infatuated with this character and the world of Slaughter Race, because it's a different atmosphere than Sugar Rush is, and she sees this as her future and where she would love to be. But obviously, Ralph can't do that, or Ralph hates that world, or Ralph wants nothing to do with that world. And so her and Shank developed this bond, that kind of what Ralph and Penelope had in the first film, and it's great. I mean, it's a real nice story between the Shank and Penelope characters. They developed this bond of friendship between them, and I mean, yeah, Ralph's character doesn't like that, and that's where the folds of the second plot of the story comes into play. But Gal Gadot brings a great character to this role, and she's a highlight of the movie as well. You also have Taraji P. Henson. She does the character Yas, which, yeah, that's how you say her name. She is in charge of the buzz videos, or memes. Those little short, little Vine kind of videos that are funny, that a lot of people get likes and clicks. She's in charge of that world. And she's a very unique character. I mean, she's very trendy. Her clothes constantly change every few moments because she's trying to keep up with the trends and stuff like that. So she's a very interesting character, and she's a fun character. So she's got a good plot point to her story. Then you got Alan Tudyk, who plays No More, the search engine on the internet. And Alan Tudyk, he's just a fantastic in everything he's in for the most part. So having him in this is always a highlight. No More, I wish we had more with that character, but I mean, he's the search engine, you can only do so much with him, but he's a highlight as well in the movie. And then Bill Hader, obviously beautiful character actor. He plays J.P. Spamley, so, as you can kind of play on words. He's that spam, those spam ads, and he pops up, and he's kind of this, like this street urchin on the internet, and he's got some highlights in the movie as well, and he does a really good job. So across the board, voice cast is great. They all, do their part. Some do more than others, but they're easily a highlight of the film. I will say the first half of the film, or the first hour, really lacks a good story compared to the second hour, whereas the first hour literally is what I said earlier, which was the plot, as them being used to their everyday life, and then them going into the internet, and a lot of it, I mean, there's a lot of play on some internet, jokes. Some of them are a little bit dated, because obviously this movie was made 3 years ago, so they're making jokes that were for 3 years ago for today. not all of them hit, or even that funny. And for a lot of people who don't use social media, which most of you are watching YouTube, so a lot of you do, if you don't follow that stuff, or you're probably not going to catch a lot of the jokes. And the whole meme part of the movie, which is a good chunk, it's funny for the first 10 minutes, but after a while, it's just like, is this really what they're going to do? It's just Ralph making funny videos the entire time. And it's kind of what stalls the Ralph character in the movie, which is while it stalls him, it allows Penelope's character to bust through and make this her own movie. And really, once they bring in the Disney aspect of the movie, that's when you start to see the turn of the film. Because while you have this one film where it's all about Ralph on the internet and he's making funny videos, because basically he's making the funny videos because he has to make money to buy this steering wheel on eBay. So obviously they're video game characters. They don't have money, so they find out that they can make funny videos with Ralph and make money that way. So Ralph's busy kind of doing that, and his focus point is to make as much money as he can, get the steering wheel, so everything can go back the way it was. Where Penelope, she's a younger kid in a sense of this movie, so she's more just wide-eyed and open to all the possibilities that the internet brings her. So basically, everything that she sees is new and unique and cool, and for someone who was very stagnant and bored with her previous life, this is opening up so many doors for her, especially Slaughter Race, which is Shank's game, because she sees that as her future. She wants to be a part of that world, but probably the biggest problem is that Ralph doesn't want that. Ralph wants to keep, so there's that dynamic between those two of, will she still keep, just doing the same old with Ralph, or will she break away and kind of do her own thing, which would be this Slaughter Race game. And that's an underlining plot throughout the film, is what's going to happen between these two characters. But the first hour, like I said, it's mostly them getting into the internet. There's a lot of old, dated internet jokes, and it's a lot of Ralph making memes. But then Penelope, goes out to try to spread the word on Ralph's memes, so that way they get more likes, so that way they can make more money, and she stumbles upon the Disney World. Now, a lot of people could think this as, oh great, Disney's patting themselves on the back, and they kind of are in a sense, but this is clearly the highlight of the film. Everyone, for the most part, everyone gets shout. Star Wars gets a shout out. Marvel gets a shout out. There's a very special cameo that I'm not going to say on here in terms of spoilers, that especially today, this cameo popping up was very special, and it's super quick, but it kind of tugged on your heartstrings for that brief moment, and I was really happy that they put it in there. But the biggest highlight is, obviously, and you've seen them in the trailers, is the Disney princesses. When I first heard about the Disney princesses being this, I was like, oh wow, this is probably going to be really corny, and it's not going to work, and I just don't know how it's going to fit. And frankly, they're awesome. Disney, not that you guys are watching my video at all because I'm nothing right now, but Disney, you have $1 billion movie on your hands. All you've got to do is take all these Disney princesses and just put them in their own movie. They're a delight, they're hilarious, and they're funny as hell. And I wish I just said what hilarious, but basically, if you put the way the characters are in this movie, not their characters from the Disney films, but the way the characters act and react to in this film alone, you make this into its own film, you will have over $1 billion movie on your hands. And if they don't do it, it's the dumbest decision they ever make. But the Disney princesses are great, and the beautiful part about it is that Disney gets not all, but they get about 95% of the original voice cast of all these princesses to voice the princesses in this movie. Obviously, the other 5% is because of older movies like Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. The actresses who voice them are either not around anymore, or they don't have the ability to be the voice of that character anymore. But everyone else is voiced by the same actress that did their voices in the original films. So that attention to detail is great. And it's only like a five, maybe 10-minute scene in the movie, but that 5 to 10 minutes is a jolt. It's a refresher to the film, and it brings something new, and it changes the whole focus point of the film. So basically, it's basically like the turning point from one movie into the next movie. And into the next movie, it becomes very Pixar-ish, where there's an underlying emotional story, and a lot of it is the Penelope storyline, where she doesn't want to go back to the world she once was. She wants this world. And it's basically, it deals with a lot of serious issues, for probably a little too heavy for kids. But I mean, in terms of the Penelope Ralph's relationship, I mean, it deals with psychological issues such as abandonment issues, codependency issues, attachment issues, or clinginess. A lot of heavy stuff gets dropped, and it's not like sugar-coated. Like, it is beaten into you hard. It's rough. I mean, as rough as it can be for still being a kid's cartoon, but it is it definitely is a night and day difference from the first hour of the film that we've seen, and it definitely makes the movie a lot stronger. Now, they don't really have a villain in this. They do make a villain by the end of the film, and I wasn't really a big fan of it because I just felt like it was triggering too much of what these psychological issues are, and I wasn't a fan of it. Some people will probably think it's very gutsy and unique that they did it. I just wasn't a fan of it. But the movie overall is still really strong. It's not. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first movie. I thought the first movie was fantastic. I do think this movie, because let's face it, this movie's going to make a ton of money. They're probably going to do a third film. I would have much rather, based off of how the story goes and how it ends, I would have much rather have had this be like the third one of a trilogy, with this being the final one, and then maybe doing a second movie where instead of them going to the internet, they basically went to like console games, where they had to deal with next-gen, like PlayStation, Xbox, and having to deal with that world where they're not just basic arcade games, they have to deal with more complexity, which they do in Slaughter Race, in a sense, but I would have much rather had that movie be more of the tag team of Penelope and Ralph, another movie where they're just kind of palling around and doing their thing and dealing with the issues they have at hand, instead of basically potentially putting this fork in the road between these two characters, which I think would have best served better as a sequel, or as the third part of a trilogy, because it's just, we haven't had as much time with these characters together as some of us would have liked, and a second film in between these two definitely I felt would have built their characters up a little bit more stronger. I mean, they're strong characters in general, but I feel like it just would have added a little bit more to their characters. But like I said, overall, I mean, there are plot holes in the movie. There's one that's still nagging me, but I'm not going to say because of spoilers. If you guys want to know, feel free to comment and ask, and I'll tell you. But there's certain plot holes here and there. And then there was also a mid-credit and a final credit scene. The mid-credit scene is basically the scene in the trailers with the pancake milkshake kitty and Bunny. It's the exact same scene. They just add it on as a mid-credit scene, so there's not really much new to that, except for maybe the first 5 seconds of it. But other than that, it's verbatim the exact same scene. The final credit scene, it can go one of two ways. It's either going to piss a lot of people off, or it's going to be hilarious. I thought it was funny, but in my head I'm going, this is really going to make a lot of people mad. Because it's kind of a giant, it's a joke, but it's a giant middle finger to the Disney fans as well. So kind of depends. You're gonna fall one way or another. You're either gonna love it, you're gonna hate it. But yeah, those are they do have 2 credit scenes at the end of this movie. But overall, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, it's a strong sequel, incredible voice casting, strong message in terms of character development that you get with normal Pixar movies, but this not being a Pixar film. There's a great Pixar joke in there during the Disney Princesses scene that I thought was quite hilarious. But anyway, overall, it's incredibly well done. The internet jokes are a little dated, but they're still good for the most part. There's some slow parts in that first hour, but then, like I said, once the Disney world / Disney princess come in, it's a whole different focus of a movie in general, and it definitely does make the movie a lot stronger and better, in my opinion. So, Wreck-It Ralph, highly recommend. Definitely go out and see it. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to have fun. Maybe not as much fun as the first film, but it is hands down going to be probably one of the best movies that's going to be out during this Thanksgiving holiday. I will be going to see later today Robin Hood and Creed 2, so those reviews will be coming up here in the next day or two, so look out for those. And like I said, if you guys like the video and you want more, go ahead and give that video a like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, leave your comments on whether it be about the review or whether it be movies you want reviewed. Like I said, leave a comment on the video here or on Sean's Movie Crusades on Facebook. And I hope to hear from you guys. And until I see you next time, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.